Today we're going to start Chapter 15, War and Revolution. And we're going to start Part 1, The Road to World War I. Many believed that the European nations would work together to create a peaceful Europe. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Instead of cooperation with nations, it became a competition. Now, historians have classified 4 causes for World War I. I'm going to go through each one of the 4. The first one is imperialism, the desire for colonies. The creation of world colonies created tensions between the main powers. Almost all of Africa is divided among European nations. There are only 2 independent countries. France and Britain had the most, with Germany, Belgium, Italy, Spain, and Portugal having the rest. Here we see a map of Africa showing all the different colonies. The British have the most. We can see up here we have Egypt, Sudan, Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria. We have down here we have South Africa, Southern Rhodesia. So England is one of the bigger powers in Africa, but also the French we see up here, Algeria, Morocco, French West Africa, French Equatorial Africa. The Germans came late, basically only having German Southwest Africa and German East Africa, Tanganyika. There's only 2 independent nations in all of Africa. They are Ethiopia, which is right here, and all the way over on the west side we have Liberia, which was founded by former American slaves who were shipped back to Africa and created their own country. But you can see the rest of Africa, even Belgium has the Belgian Congo right here in the center. The second cause was alliances. Countries divided into 2 groups of alliances. Military treaties were signed. Alliances with other countries, so if one country is drawn into a war, then other countries agree to come to their aid. Now, Kaiser Wilhelm II broke up Bismarck's alliances with Russia, who now joins with France. Germany increased their naval power, which was seen as a threat to Great Britain and its empire, who now signs a treaty with France. First, we have the Triple Alliances: Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. The Ottoman Empire would join later. And the Triple Entente between France, Great Britain, and Russia. The United States refused to join any alliance. The third reason is nationalism. Countries acted in their own self-interest, even if it meant conflict with other powers. A sense of popular nationalism among the people, feeling of superiority to other nations. Country leaders pursue aggressive foreign policies to bolster national unity and distract from problems at home. The final reason is militarism. Major buildup of military forces. From 1890 to 1914, most European countries built large armies. Russia had an army of 1.2 million men. Germany and France had 900,000. The US, on the other hand, had a small army of only 200,000. They made plans to mobilize huge armies in case of war. Military leaders became more influential. Now, we're going to focus on crisis in the Balkans. Yes, again. As the Ottoman Empire began to fall apart, many of its Balkan provinces gained their independence. Here we see down in the Balkans, many of these areas down here are gaining their independence. Let's see, Serbia, Montenegro, Albania, Greece, Bulgaria, and Romania. Let's erase this here. This led to a rivalry between Russia and the Austrian-Hungarian Empire for control of the region. Serbia, who had Russia's support, wanted to create a Serbian nation. Austria-Hungary was convinced that Serbian nationalism was a threat to their empire and would have to be crushed. Russia was determined never to back down again against Germany or Austria-Hungary. Russia was ready to defend Serbia. Now, all of the major countries were prepared for a war. All they needed was a spark to start it. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, he was next in line to be the emperor. He was the nephew of Emperor Franz Joseph, whose own son had died in a strange murder-suicide with his girlfriend. But Franz Ferdinand is the next in line. He's a very moderate man who would probably be very helpful to the Serbians. He visits Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia. They were a group of Bosnians called the Black Hand who felt they should be free of Austria-Hungarian control and would use violence to achieve it. On June 28, 1914, they came together, tragically for millions of people. On June 28, 1914, a Serbian nationalist assassinates Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. Here we see the Archduke and his wife Sophie heading to the car. Here's an artist's rendition showing the assassin firing 2 bullets, hitting both Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie. Both of them died in the assassination. Here's the car. It's in a museum in Austria. The Serbian nationalist Gavrilo Princip was part of a group called the Black Hand. He was put on trial along with the other conspirators. Princip was found guilty, but because he was only 19, he could not receive the death penalty and was given 20 years. He spent 3 years in prison before dying from tuberculosis caused by the poor prison conditions. Before we go on, I just want to take a little time out here and just talk about the history of Bosnia. After World War I, Bosnia became part of a larger country, Yugoslavia. Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, many of the other small Slavic countries are all lumped in together. After World War II, Yugoslavia became a communist country under Marshal Tito. In 1984, the Winter Olympics were held in Sarajevo. Here we see the torch lighting ceremony in the downtown area. Here's the American team marching in with their Western attire, cowboy hats and sheepskin jackets. In 1991, Yugoslavia started to break up after the fall of communism. Bosnia got its independence the following year in 1992. Bosnia and Herzegovina combined and Sarajevo became the capital city. I have no idea what the flag designers were thinking of. It's probably one of the more interesting flags I've ever seen, but anyway. Different factions wanted control, and unfortunately, a civil war breaks out in Bosnia. The Bosnian War would last for 3 years and cause the deaths of over 100,000 people. There was fighting between the Orthodox Christians and Muslims, which led to ethnic cleansing, which was another word for genocide. There were wholesale massacres of civilians committed by both sides, and their bodies were buried in mass graves. It was so bad that NATO sent in UN peacekeepers. Sarajevo itself suffered a 3-year siege that devastates the city, killing over 5,000 of its inhabitants. Here we see the Capitol building in flames. Downtown streets that were devastated. This was the major newspaper building that had been destroyed. And some of the Olympic venues were destroyed also. The main street in Sarajevo became known as Sniper Alley. Here we see a woman running to avoid the snipers. She did get away. Others weren't so lucky. So many died, they actually created makeshift cemeteries on the side of hills just to bury all the people that had died in the Civil War. On the streets of Sarajevo, they put this red rosin, it's kind of a plastic, into the craters that were caused by mortar shots that when they landed on the sidewalk would explode, killing people. So they filled in the holes that were created by these explosions, and they became known as Sarajevo roses, basically to commemorate or memorialize the people that died there. The war ends in 1995. Here we see a picture of the devastation of the city of Sarajevo. You see the young boy here playing on the tank, or the remains of the tank. The Austrian-Hungarian Empire blamed Serbia for the assassination and used it as an excuse to attempt to take over the country. They had no evidence that Serbia was involved, but they didn't care. They saw their chance to destroy Serbian ideas of unity forever. Austria-Hungary was concerned about a war with Russia, but Kaiser Wilhelm II assured Austria-Hungary that they would back them up whatever they did. The so-called blank check. Having Germany's support, they sent Serbia a list of extreme demands that they knew Serbia could not agree to, and gave them only a month to agree. Well, the month goes by, and on July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary, with Germany's support, declared war on Serbia. Now, because of the alliances countries had signed with each other, countries started declaring war on each other, and the war escalated very quickly. 1. Russia wanted to defend Serbia, so they declared war on Austria-Hungary. 2. Germany allied with Austria-Hungary and declared war on Russia. 3. France had an alliance with Russia and they joined the war against Germany. And 4. To invade France, Germany had to invade neutral Belgium. Great Britain had decided to defend Belgium and join the war against Germany. All right, this now ends our section on Road to World War I. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Goodbye.